Hi everybody, my name is Elsa Baumgartner. I'm the participant pool coordinator here at UMW. The reason you're watching this video today is you're probably ready to set up your survey in SONA, the system that we use to let general psych students sign up for your studies and participate in them. So the first step you're going to want to do before even getting into SONA or anything is get IRB approval. So that should be the first step you're working towards. Once you do get IRB approval, hang on to that IRB approval letter because you're going to need it when you submit for approval. So SONA, how do we set up our studies in SONA? I'm going to share my screen with you. The first step is you're obviously going to want to log into the site. Go to umw.sona-systems.com. This will be very important for you to remember. Under user ID, you're going to want to use your UMW net ID. So the thing that you use to sign in as your username all around campus. If your name is Fake Researcher, this is going to be Fake Research. The thing is about signing into SONA for the first time is that your user ID and your password are going to be the same thing. It isn't going to be the password you use to sign into Canvas or your email. It's going to just be the same thing as your user ID. So if my user ID is fresearch, my password is also fresearch. So once you sign in, you're going to want to change your password just for security reasons quite quickly, just to make sure no one else can get into your account. And then one person of your team should do this. Go to add a new study, scroll down to online external study. So we're all doing online studies. Continue, and you're going to get lots of study information that you should fill out. For the sake of time, and today as an example, I already have a study set up that I'll just walk you through. So I'm going to go to my studies to show you that. It's benevolent sexism and indirect aggression, a study that I worked on last year with my research methods group. So you ever need to change anything about your study in the long run, you're just going to go to study menu and go to change study information. So here we're going to have study name, brief abstract, detailed description. For these, make sure that you pay attention to how much detail you're giving away and how vague you are. You don't want to directly lie about what you're studying, because you want to be able to inform your participant about what they're going to be participating in, obviously, but you also don't want to give away your variables. So make sure that you're using, good idea is to use your wording from your informed consent document so that it tells them what they're supposed to do. For example, in this detailed description, you're asked to proofread statements, complete a survey about yourself, complete a word assignment task. It doesn't give away what we're asking, right? But make sure you also tell them that even if they choose to sign up, they will be able to withdraw their data if they wish in your informed consent, because just because you sign up doesn't necessarily mean you have to continue. It's completely voluntary. Make sure that language is in there, though. That's highly important. You're going to go through eligibility requirements and figure out how long it takes to take your survey. For online studies, it's usually around 30 minutes, and that equates about 0.5 credits. Anything between 30 minutes and an hour is going to be 1 credit. So remember that. Pull over your researchers, etc. This is all pretty straightforward. Something important, though, is to remember to make it an active study. So press yes here, otherwise it won't show up, even if it is approved. So the next thing we're going to want to do is look at Qualtrics, which is where our surveys are that we've already created, assuming that you've already created your survey. This is how you would link your Qualtrics survey to this SONA site so that the study is published to the general psych community. So what we want to do is go to Qualtrics. So go ahead and log into Qualtrics before you do this step, and then click on the survey you're going to link. Should be titled the same thing usually. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is copy and paste the URL for Qualtrics into the study URL box on SONA. So how do you do this? Well, you go to distributions and then anonymous link, and then copy this link, address, go to change study information, back again to our other tab, scroll down to you see this little section called study URL, and I'm going to just erase this to show you and copy and paste that. Something very important here. You've copied and pasted from Qualtrics, but you also need to add something to what you've pasted. You need to add, it's a little bit of code, question mark, id, equal sign, %, capital survey, dash code, %. You need this for participants to actually get credit for being in your study. So make sure that you add that. That is probably the part that lots of people mess up on the most. So please, please, please make sure you add that question mark id equal sign. Oop, I didn't even get the question mark in there. Because otherwise we're gonna have a lot of angry participants saying, why the heck didn't I get credit for participating in this survey? You're gonna want no for your URL display, and for participant sign-up deadline, probably best to keep it at 0 for an online study. So go back to Qualtrics for a bit. And what we're gonna wanna do here is make sure that we have the survey accept the survey code number as an embedded data field named id. So the way that was a lot of words, I know, but the way that this is important for the coding of the survey so that it fits into SONA and that everything links very well. So we're gonna go to survey once again. It's not that hard. It sounds like I'm saying a lot of hard words, but it shouldn't be that bad. And then go to survey flow. And then here, we're gonna scroll down, add a new element, and we're gonna click on embedded data. And here we're gonna write in lowercase letters, id. Oop, I did not write in lowercase, did I? Id, oop. 1 second. Id, there we go, and add below. Whee! So I actually already have id in this study, so I'm just gonna delete that, but that's how you would do it. Make sure you just have one of those. And then we save the flow. So now we have id in there, which is very important. So the next part we want to do is go to survey options. And after we go to survey options, go to survey termination, this little section here. And under this little bullet point you see, we have redirect to a full URL. So this is another way we're gonna link SONA and Qualtrics. Go back to SONA, and we're gonna press Save Changes. And we're gonna come to this little study homepage that we've seen before. And on the right here, under Direct Study Link, we have a link for SONA and the online survey. So we're gonna copy that. There's a lot of copying and pasting. And under the redirect to a full URL on Qualtrics and survey termination, we're gonna paste that. So that way they link, and yeah, there we go. We're gonna press Save. You should say that you only want them to be identified as id. All right, which is what we have. Save. So back to SONA, everything here is set up. The next thing we're going to want to do, we've created our survey in Qualtrics. We've created the study in SONA. We've written the study name, the duration, all of that. We have the abstract and the description up. We've linked it. What we don't have is a time slot. If there are no time slots for your study, then no one can sign up, which is unfortunate. So what we want to do for an online study, you really only need 1 time slot. So those are just the days you've decided that students can participate. So you might want to give it like 2 or 3 days for them to sign up for your study and take your survey. So I'm going to go to add a time slot here. And sure, I'll have my final participation date be on Wednesday, October 7th. Give them a few days to do this. And then once you do this, and the final participation deadline, I might make that a little bit later, maybe like, it's actually okay because it's 48 hours. Ooh, I can spell. All right, add this time slot. And one thing you also want to make sure you do when you're making these time slots is make sure that you have how many participants you want. So it really depends on what your professor, how many participants your professor wants you to have. I'm just going to go with 100, but listen to what your professor wants you to have on this because it's going to be variable for each study. So update time slot. And now there are 100 slots, so 100 people can sign up and take this before October 7th at 9 o'clock in the morning. Yay, we have a time slot. So after we do this, we are going to go ahead and click add, which we already did. Woohoo. And our study should be good to go. Going back to study information, everything should be set up. We have our study, we have Qualtrics, everything's linked, we have a time slot. Now, we're going to submit for approval, the exciting part. So we're going to send request. And we don't have to write a message unless you want to. I mean, I'd like to see a message if you want, but it's not required. Under choose file, make sure that you have your IRB approval letter. I will not approve it, nor can I approve it without the IRB approval letter. So make sure that you link that, then go ahead and press send request. Only one of you needs to do this once again. Also, it doesn't notify you once you've sent the request. So make sure you just click it once and don't click it multiple times, because I will receive it multiple times. Also, if you make a change in your Qualtrics survey, it won't necessarily link back up to your SONA. So make sure that you have everything figured out with your Qualtrics. You've got your order of wording, you've got your informed consent done, you have your debriefing done, everything's in the right order and everything is coded properly before you link it to SONA, because it will not link up again. So make sure everything is done. And also, don't change your time slot once your study has been published without asking me, because that way, if people are signed up, they might get confused and there'll be a whole hullabaloo. So give me about 48 hours to approve and look over your study. I will email you if I have any questions or concerns about your study. So give it a little bit of time. Don't do this like the day before you want to start collecting data, because that's not going to work out. Give it a few days before you have your time slot start, so that I'm able to talk about problems with you, give you an approval letter, because it will take about 48 hours. It could be sooner, but it will take up to 48 hours. So go ahead and plan ahead on that. So if you have any questions, please email me or ask your professor. All of this stuff is going to be for your reference on this video. You can always watch it again, or you could look at the online study instructions for a researcher, which you have access to through your professor. So my email is ebaumta4@mail.umw.edu. I'm here to answer questions, but yeah, good luck with your studies.